the taste of extinction. 20,000 years ago in the Alps, 0-point broth of silver pheasant and pressed pearlgrass noodles. July in Seoul is a season where sticky humidity crushes the skin. The temperature was well over 34 degrees Celsius, and the geothermal heat rising from the asphalt mixed with the exhaust fumes in the air, heavily pressing down on the lungs with every breath. Coming out of a cold noodle restaurant near Yongjae Station, with a sign claiming a 3-generation tradition, Shu's brow remained furrowed. The sickly sweetness of artificial sweeteners and the stuffiness of the starchy noodles clung to the mucous membranes in his mouth and wouldn't disappear. He drank water from a paper cup at the stainless steel water purifier placed at the restaurant entrance, but the unique smell of residual chlorine from the tap water only added to his displeasure. Hamhyung cold noodles really don't do it for me. They try to cover up everything with that stimulating seasoning taste. And what about the noodles? I don't know how much sweet potato starch they mixed in, but I can barely bite into them. This isn't cooking, it's a rubber band. To Shu, who reveres the subtle meaty aroma of Pyongyang cold noodles and the texture of buckwheat noodles that easily break off, the spicy mixed cold noodles he just ate were close to a culinary terror. On the other hand, Minwo, who prefers the spicy and chewy Hamhyung cold noodles, retorted as if feeling wronged. Hey, that's just because this restaurant is bad at making them, not a problem with Hamhyung cold noodles as a whole. Why do you like that tasteless, plain water-like Pyongyang cold noodle broth so much? Do you think people call it water used to wash dishcloths for nothing? Don't you think it's contradictory to talk about essence while pouring vinegar and mustard into that plain water? Plain water? That's just your tongue being polluted, unable to appreciate the delicate meaty aroma. The essence of cold noodles is ultimately the harmony between the savory taste of buckwheat and the clear umami of the broth. Hamhyung cold noodles, covered in seasoning, are just slaves to stimulation. The two people's cold noodle debate continued as tediously as the scorching heat of Seoul. Shu swallowed his saliva repeatedly, wanting to wash away the lingering feeling of artificial seasoning at the root of his tongue, but his mouth had long since become dry. Minwo glanced at Shu's irritated face and took out his smartphone to launch the Kronos Highway app. All right, Mr. Shu of the Pyongyang faction. I know a place where we can simultaneously satisfy your obsession with pure broth and my desire for chewy noodles. So let's go. I'll make sure you can't complain about artificial seasonings or the smell of tap water. If you go there and still say it tastes bad, I'll change my last name. The two went down to the 4th basement floor of Yongjae Terminal. The terminal lobby was as crowded as an airport during peak season. The vibrations of thousands of capsules ascending and descending spacetime orbits were transmitted through the ground to the soles of their feet. On the large hologram electronic display in the waiting room, popular products like Medieval London Market Tour and Jurassic Jungle Safari were flickering as they updated their real-time reservation rates. The two passed through the exclusive gate for the Pleistocene Glacier Gourmet course and boarded Capsule 03. As the hatch closed smoothly, the noisy sounds from outside were cut off like a vacuum. Welcome. I am Lewis, your guide who will scientifically end your narrow-minded gourmet debate today. Transparent blue particles condensed in the air, and an AI hologram dressed as an 18th-century butler appeared. Lewis's tone was mixed with the logical and dry sharp-tongued remarks unique to artificial intelligence. Lewis set the destination to the Alps 20,000 years ago. Understood, Mr. Minwo. We are moving to 20,000 years ago, the last glacial maximum of the Pleistocene epoch. It was a time when humanity was struggling with mammoths, painting cave murals even before inventing writing. You will soon realize how insignificant the things that modern cold noodle restaurant owners claim to be secret broths are. Please prepare for the impact during transit. The capsule began to accelerate. The inertia control device activated, followed by a spacetime distortion lasting about 5.2 seconds. The scenery of Seoul outside the window turned into lines and disappeared, and soon the lights inside the capsule dimmed as the video from the external camera was projected onto the main screen. What replaced the scenery was the primordial pure white that humanity had never once polluted. When the hatch opened, the first thing felt was not the temperature but the silence. The atmosphere of the Alps 20,000 years ago was much denser and more transparent than that of modern times. Complete silence with no noise of machines or the hum of a city. Shu stepped out of the capsule. The texture of the snow touching the soles of his shoes was as fluffy as freshly baked bread. But thanks to the causality shield, not a single snow particle was crushed. At Shu's feet, instead of footprints, only the blue afterimage of the shield lingered for a moment before disappearing. What unfolded before their eyes was a spectacular view of glaciers compressed over tens of thousands of years. The ice had a transparent deep blue color resembling the depths of the deep sea due to Rayleigh scattering. The atmosphere, a much deeper cobalt blue than the current sky, had absolutely no dust particles. The sunlight cut the sharp edges of the ice cliffs like diamonds without refraction, emitting a dazzling radiance. In the distance, at the edge of the snowfield, a massive herd of woolly mammoths was slowly crossing the horizon, and the snow powder kicked up by their heavy footsteps scattered in the air, becoming golden particles. Wow! Is this 20,000 years ago? Exactly 21,432 years ago. Mr. Shu, Lewis answered, projecting a hologram clock. The oxygen you two are currently breathing is about 1.5% more concentrated than in modern times, and the fine dust level in the air converges to an immeasurable zero. It will take your lungs about 30 minutes just to purify the pollutants from Seoul, so I will start preparing the food in the meantime.